From Fox News, legal experts say Trump can definitely reopen Alcatraz, but could face an avalanche of lawsuits. Greg Jarrett tells Fox and Friends legal challenges will likely be tied up in California courts for years. And that's what I tweeted this. And I got a lot of pushback. I said, I do not believe Trump will be able to reopen Alcatraz in any meaningful amount of time. There's logistical problems. It has been closed for 62 years. That means it needs to be updated. Like there's a lot of technology that it's going to need for a modern prison. Cameras. But it probably does have cameras.
It's a tourist.
Right. But I doubt it has the necessary cameras for a prison system. Yeah. The locks and everything it needs probably have been maintained to a certain degree. But a modern prison system is going to need to be updated. Mm-hmm. So you've got to hire staff. You've got to build the management. You've got to actually check the structures to be able to house and maintain. Maybe they're fine for tourists. Maybe you can't have people living in them. The biggest issue, of course, is it's a national park already. They're going to sue. There's financial interests probably tied to ferries that are going to be like, I go out of business if you do this. So they're going to be suing like crazy, saying you can't strip a national park away. So Trump wants to do it, of course, because it's a symbol. Alcatraz is a scary place. It's a symbol. He wants his own version of CCOT, which we have in Guantanamo, by the way. But he wants to make it so that when criminal aliens come to this country, he tells them, you will go to the worst possible place. And you know what? No trial. You know why? Because while you're waiting for your trial, you'll be in Alcatraz.
Well, first thing, look, Donald Trump built the ice skating rink in Central Park ridiculously quickly, more quickly than anyone ever thought was possible. So if there's one guy, Tim, and I agree with you, it's going to take a lot, but if there's one guy that can defy the odds and get it done in time more quickly than what we think, it's him.
It's great real estate.
Yeah, right. And look, and I think, blue cities are now totally unlivable, right, because of crime. And getting tough is so important. And reopening Alcatraz right there in San Francisco sends the strongest possible correct message imaginable. Because what's happening in blue cities is not just a blue city tragedy, it's an American tragedy.
Can we keep it a tourist attraction and a prison at the same time?
Yes. There we go. Problem solved.
Boom. I imagine Pelosi saying that, and probably because she's afraid he's going to throw her in there.
That's the kind of dystopian compromise I actually do expect.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Just going,
I can imagine.
Walking by Piff Diddy.
There's Al Capone's old cell. Yeah.
All MS-13,
Yeah.
Trendea Aragua.
Wow.
In cells, hollering at you.
Yeah.
Hollering at you. Howling.
Al Capone had a band at Alcatraz. You know that?
Really?
Played banjo. Had a band called like Rockin' Islanders or something. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He had syphilis too. It was a rough go for Al at Alcatraz, but he had a sick band.
He was a sick
So it's
man.
good. It's good. You can really rehabilitate these people. Luigi could go there.
I think this is a marketing play by Trump.
Yeah.
He's like, look, we got bad prisons in this country, but none of these guys care. How do we scare them? That was the idea. I think one of the biggest ideas with big ideas behind El Salvador prison was to basically be like, if you come here illegally, we're going to ship you off to El Salvador.
Yeah.
And then maybe that would terrify people and they wouldn't come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. It has great branding already.
Alcatraz,
baked in,
The Rock.
It's
Right,
got
he just
great
has
movies.
He has that television mindset, when you think about it, when he met up with Zelensky there in the Vatican, and he's just got all of these, he knows the images that conjure in people's minds. And this is literally going to chill the bones and freeze the sweat.
For our 250th, we're reopening Alcatraz.
Alcatraz. There you
Happy
go.
birthday, America.
American exceptionalism. I love it.
The parade is going to go right to the pier, and then they all get on boats, and then it's a boat parade around Alcatraz of military hardware. That's
Red,
what-
white,
yeah.
and blue. Yeah.
But is this, what should we be doing? Is this a move you guys think is effective?
Yes.
Yes.
We need prisons with bad people inside them because our cities
but we
are
got-
overflowing with violent, insane people.
I agree with that. But if you're right that there's going to be a massive amount of lawsuits, and there's going to be all kinds of red tape that he has to go through because it is a historical site or whatever, just send him to Guantanamo. It's already open. Just you can send some Marines down there to to staff it. I mean, he's the commander in chief.
Yeah.
He can send Marines down there to staff it.
Doesn't feel as good as Alcatraz.
Yeah, there's
Just sounds nice. though.
Like I said,
The Rock.
The point that you're making that we need prisons to hold these people is true. And if there's going to be all kinds of red tape that has to be dealt with, and there's going to be all sorts of lawsuits, we do need to have somewhere to put these people. So send them to Guam. You know, if he wants to go ahead and continue to do it, if he wants to try and do it while you're waiting, just send him to.
Can you imagine the ribbon cutting ceremony at Alcatraz?
I mean,
Big scissors.
pick up a shark to cut the.
There you go.
it's gonna be amazing.
You're selling
Right
it,
through
Phil.
the,
It's
I
amazing.
will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, me
Sounds
too.
incredible. Yeah, I think we need it. I think they're just California's going to.
But my point is that we could build a prison anywhere.
For sure. Yeah.
Why doesn't Trump just build like a really awful looking prison that follows all the guidelines? Like it's like a prison, but it looks bad.
Right.
Did you see that video where the guys were spelling SOS
Yes.
and they were smiling and laughing while they were doing it?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
A bunch of like illegal immigrants in a holding place lined up to spell SOS in the field.
Oh wow.
And then a drone flew overhead and they were all laughing and flashing gang signs and stuff.
Great.
Yup.
Great.
They don't actually care, but Democrats don't care either.
Right.
They're just whatever America is for, they're against.
Yes, no, that's true. Look, I love the symbolism of this being in a blue city.
So
that's-
a prison within a prison.
Right. Well,
Yes.
San Francisco, which has become such a hellhole, right? And to reopen Alcatraz, I mean, it is again that part trolling on the part of Trump that is just going to send these guys nuts. But I think it sends all the right messages. It shows that America is back open for business, literally, and that we are the can-do country because crime is destroying this country along with illegal immigration.
Yeah, I mean, look, anything that needs to happen to take care of the illegal immigration situation and get the illegal immigrants out of the U.S. I'm
Bills
for.
down.
Yeah,
Me too.
You know,
Have you seen this self-deporting stuff?
I love
They
it.
give you $1,000 and a
Yep.
light.
love it.
Yep. Yeah, DHS is going to pay $1,000 if you just leave because it costs like $17,000 to deport somebody.
Right.
So like, I'll just give you $1,000 if you get them out. And they're like, all right.
They're doging the
If it costs 17, give them 10.
Yeah.
You're saving 7 ahead.
Well, but I think they did the math. They were like, they'll take 1,000. You know, don't give away more than you
That
get.
doesn't get you a long way where these guys are going.
Look, the point that I'm making is I want to do everything that we can to get as many illegals out of here because the illegal immigrants are essentially the point of having them here is to affect the census and affect the way that
We vote.
the way that we vote and dilute the voting power of the American people. So whatever steps are necessary, I'm okay with it. Like I said,
Catapults at the wall.
catapults are
Throw 'em
great.
over.
Catapults are fine, but I'm okay with the president suspending the writ of habeas corpus for illegals. If you're not for citizens,
Yeah.
but for illegals, suspend habeas corpus. You don't need to. And if it turns out that he does send Americans out, then you can address it from outside of the country.
It is arguably a legislative power.
Joe Biden's fault.
It is arguably a power of the legislative branch. And when Abraham Lincoln unilaterally suspended habeas corpus, 2 years later, I think it was 2 years later, Congress said, okay, we're going to retroactively make that legit, which is stupid. They basically just said you're allowed to do it, which is nuts. But I do want to mention this one super chat real quick from Sky Whitaker. He said, Tim, not everything needs to be cutting edge tech. Sometimes the tried and true antiquated is less problematic. Alcatraz mainly needs some major restoration, not the unproven 2052 tech update. You know, I'm going to say you are correct.
Yes.
And you know why I'm going to tell you this? Because one of the best video games ever made is Chrono Trigger, as well as Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Now, here's my point. Since technology improved, we don't make video games like those anymore. Like indie developers do, but big studios don't. Do you guys ever play Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past?
Yep.
Yeah. One of the best video games ever made. Really simple SNES game. I've been playing it. And I was just thinking to myself, like, this format of game, this, very simple top-down game, major studios have all gone 3D, open world, all of this stuff. And I'm like, you could just literally take that game, make some new dungeons and a new map, same graphics and everything, and it would be a good game people would want to play. The fact that technology is advanced does not mean we need to use the most advanced technology.
Yeah.
Tim, I would argue it's the same with movies.
Right.
I mean, movies in the 90s, like you look at the first Die Hard, right? They were shooting the glass because he was barefoot and he had to pull the glass out of his feet. By the fourth Die Hard, which was, 10 or 15 years after the original, he was somersaulting over, semis. so because the special effects and all of those technological advances had made people not focus on the plot, not focus on the character development. And instead, all the emphasis went on making it as visually spectacular as possible. But to your point, the best, I think, was when they had pretty good technology, but great plot, great, you know what I mean? The fundamentals were there.
Well, I mean, Groundhog Day is one of the best movies ever made.
Right.
They don't make movies like that anymore.
They don't.
No, hold on. Who's they, though? Major studios. Yeah. Major studios only want to gamble when they don't want to gamble. They want winners. So now you've got all this hype around Avengers Doomsday that's coming out, which is the new Avengers film. And you know what? Let me tell you what Avengers Doomsday is. It is, oh crap, we don't make money without Robert Downey Jr. Quick, write a plot to bring him back. It was supposed to be that Kang Dynasty, the next Avengers film, came out 3 days ago. That was the original release. Then they booted, I think, what's the guy's name? Jonathan Majors or whatever? I don't know. The actor. And then all of a sudden they were like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. is back as a new character. And it's because they realized, like, what we're doing doesn't work. Let's just go back and do old stuff. We don't want to gamble. Let's just keep making the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So make Alcatraz medieval.
With the Leaning Tower of Pelosi.
Cool.
How good would that be?
Put alligators around it.
Yeah, that's
I know the
great.
water's very
The
water's very cold, but we'll put heaters in there so that they'll have an alligator moat.
Yeah. Maybe it can become a Trump resort eventually.
Nick Cage
After he does that to
warden.
Gaza.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.